Welcome back to Tipsy Talks, the space where we pause, reflect, and have conversations that truly matter. Today's episode is a very special one because we are talking about something that silently drives almost every decision we make, every relationship we build, and every success we chase: emotional intelligence. Now, when we hear the word intelligence, we usually think of IQ, marks, or degrees. But research and life keep reminding us that it's not just how smart you are that matters. It is how well you understand and manage emotions, yours as well as others. That's emotional intelligence. And it might just be the most important skill of our time. To help us unpack this, we have with us someone who has dedicated his life to making emotional intelligence practical, accessible, and transformative. He's the founder of Discover My Mind, an author of 3 acclaimed books, a global speaker, a coach, and the driving force behind innovative AI tools and communities, Mr. Vasant Agarwal. Vasant, welcome to the show. We are so excited to learn from you today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
You're known to be, a pioneer in as far as taking emotional intelligence ahead in the Indian context, and you have a wonderful community going on emotional intelligence. For plain and simple people like me who are uninitiated into something like emotional intelligence, could you please begin by telling us what exactly is emotional intelligence? What do you mean by emotional intelligence? Aren't they oxymorons, emotion and intelligence? And why is it so important in the world today?
Many people ask me a little anecdote. I was at a gathering the other day and somebody asked me, Mr. Agarwal, what do you do?
Right.
And I said, I'm involved in emotional intelligence. And they looked at me and they said, "Ye kya nayi bimari hai? Is this some new illness?"
Okay.
So I looked, this was a very educated person. So I looked at him and I said, "Aapko main kya samjhaun?"
Okay.
In any way, in answer to your question, what is it? In fact, and he said, "How can you be intelligent when you're emotional?" And I said, "Oh my God." So the problem we have in our country is lack of education and awareness
Right.
of the very point you made. What is emotional intelligence? Right. So I'll simplify it. There are 4 key elements of emotional intelligence, and then I'll get into how it affects our lives.
Fine. Fine.
The 4 key elements. The first is self-realization, right. Self-assessment. Who am I? What am I? What are my goals? Where do I want to go in life? What is the best career for me? The next is self-regulation.
Right.
Once you know about yourself, and many people don't take the time to do introspective thinking, then the point is how do you manage and control your emotions? You have to identify what are the emotions that are playing on your mind at any given time. And that is called self-control, self-management. Once you've identified your emotions, and that too takes some time. The third is empathy and compassion. We don't in our lives stop to say sorry or thank you or how can I help you. They hear of somebody else's trials and tribulations. They say, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that." And they move on their lives. They don't say, "Okay, how can I help you? What can I do for you?" And the fourth is relationship building, relationship management. We have to establish relationships with our friends, our family, our workers. So without the relationship, we have nothing. We're just like maybe some other animal on the street. So relationship building is the 4th pillar. Now I'll go back to, I'll address relationship building. That is a function of communication. And unless we communicate with each other, there can be no relationship.
That's right.
Now, I'll even go back a little bit. What are emotions? A feeling becomes a thought, becomes an emotion that makes you say or do something to somebody else.
Right.
Now, most emotions, in fact, all emotions reside in your subconscious, not in your conscious. It's only when somebody says something or does something, does a particular emotion emerge from your subconscious, comes to the conscious, makes you say or do something, and then the other person responds. They will say or do something, and there in lies what is known as, ultimately, it could be positive, it could be negative. So it could result in a conflict which requires resolution. So basically, that is what is emotional intelligence.
Absolutely.
And to sum it up, it plays a very important role in our lives. It affects how we treat our family, our friends, our workers. And I would like to add that your mental health affects your emotional health. Your emotional health affects your mental health. It also affects your finances, your family, your career. So it's a very, very important aspect. Our personality depends on our emotion and many other things. Self-assessment मैंने शुरू में बोला था. Now, how do you assess yourself? That is done by what is known as an EQ assessment.
Right.
That is a simple test that we provide on our platform, where in 20 minutes, you take the test and it'll tell you everything about it. Most people don't know that you have 9 multiple intelligences.
All right.
Aptitude, memory, logic.
Okay.
तो ये सब हम लोग के, they comprise our overall intelligence.
Ji.
This assessment gives you your emotional janam patri,
Right.
for
Right.
lack of a better word.
Right.
And this is used worldwide. It's just coming into India now, where HR and psychologists and education. So, I would suggest that people go to my website, discovermymind.com. I would also recommend that people go to LinkedIn, go to groups on LinkedIn,
Right.
and key in Emotional Intelligence Alliance. It's a group with about 9,000 people worldwide who are focused only on emotional intelligence. It's a very select group
Right.
that I have built up over many years. Now, the reason I recommend that is answers to a lot of your questions are there in the group on LinkedIn and in my book. So rather than spend hours trying to go through
Absolutely.
every minutiae of PI,
Yeah.
they can go there, they'll see post videos, they'll see articles.
Very briefly, if I may, request you to narrate a small incident, small but impactful incident, wherein somebody who's been in touch with you, through your coaching or writing, and you're being with him, and the influence that you exerted on him made an impactful difference on his professional or personal life. Could you narrate one small incident very quickly?
Well, there are many too, but I'll go back to something that I learned in my reading. Andre Agassi, the famous tennis player, when he was born, his parents tied a tennis ball across his crib.
Okay.
And they would tap the ball.
Right.
And he would watch the movement of the ball. And that is how. It's called emotional intelligence. And in America, he has been taught at age 5, 6, 7, not at age 15 or 16. But at that age, he learned eye movement.
Okay.
And eye contact, and he became one of the best tennis players in the world. Now, as far as myself, I don't know who I've touched most or helped most. I receive a lot of calls, people saying, please advise me. Either it's myself or my wife or my daughter or my son, somebody I love and care for. And they're going through this phase in their lives of being unhappy.
Excellent. No, Mr. Vasant, that's a wonderful idea. In fact, as you were talking about the books, of course, I would have exposed these books to the audience one time or the other. But then, it gives me a wonderful theme for our next episode together, parenting with AI, in the current world. And coming on to the current world, as you're all aware, the headlines of all newspapers are blaring away the same thing. There is so much of stress, conflict, misunderstandings, pressures which are building up. How does emotional intelligence comes into play and become effective in a situation like this? I mean, that is what the audience would like to know from you.
Well, we talk about stress, anxiety, depression. Now, if you go up the ladder, you see it begins with your emotional health. If you're not emotionally healthy, then sooner or later you go into stress, anxiety, and ultimately into depression. Once you go into depression, what can I say? I'll be misunderstood. If you go to a psychiatrist, they'll give you prescription medication. I'm not a supporter of that unless it's a critical situation. It's a serious medical condition. So my view on that is that one should try and go follow the principles and the learnings and the books and the videos. There's a lot of information available on the internet.
Right.
If you go to YouTube or TEDx, there are hundreds of speakers on the subject. Now, most of them, their talks and information is US oriented or Western oriented.
Right.
So I find it lacking that they don't have the Indian perspective to share, because that is what you and I are talking about.
Absolutely.
It's different. Our values, our needs are different. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but
Yeah, of
you
course.
have to, in order to ride a bicycle, learn how to ride. You have to get on the bicycle, go forward, learn how to balance, and then you'll be able to ride the bicycle.
Absolutely.
Just by looking at it, you won't learn how to ride a bicycle.
Absolutely. All right, we'll come to a question which is closer to everybody today. Parents and teachers are often struggling with their connect with their children in the high pressure world. The children today, they are of a different era altogether. I mean, they are Gen Z and later, and they're much too forward than us, and the teachers and the parents which are there. How would you say EI can help us in bridging this gap, this generation gap, as I would call it? It very remotely pertains to the book that you've written on the subject.
Good question. You see, unfortunately, what is happening today, there is a blame game going on. The parent is blaming the teacher is blaming the student is blaming the parent.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, although CBSE, Central Board of Secondary Education, they have 8,500 schools across India. They sent out a mandate to all schools that they must have a trained and certified EI counselor in the school.
Right.
This was 2 years ago.
Okay.
Why I bring that up is even today, the 90% of all the student counselors have no formal education on EI.
Right.
And addressing mental health. It's like, you'll be surprised to note that I have 8,000 mental health psychologists, psychiatrists on my network. Excellent. On LinkedIn, 8,000.
Wow.
And they come to me and they say, oh, we would like to learn more about EI. And I said, well, didn't they teach it to you when you were getting your 4-year, 6-year degree? They said, no, there was nothing in the curriculum about EI.
Yeah, that's
this is today's world. And that is the psychologist, psychiatrist that we go to for counseling. So whether it's the education space, whether it's the mental health space, even HR, human resource in India, they still don't use EQ assessment when they're hiring somebody. They pay lakhs to hire, lakhs to train, lakhs to fire, then lakhs to rehire. Mm. And when I met many of the executive vice presidents, I said, why don't you do a simple EQ assessment to tell you if that applicant is suited for the job or not? Or they had a big degree and many years of experience, so he must be okay. Well, all over the world, the first thing an employer does is to get an EQ assessment of the candidate. It tells you everything. These programs are so, intelligent, if you will, that they can figure out. And the questions are very simple. The test is just 15, 20 minutes long. Right. But you yourself will be amazed as to what it's telling you about yourself, which you didn't even realize.
That's right. Vasant, you've through your 15 odd years now that you've been, actually dwelling on this subject after having left all the vocation that you were into all this while, both here and in the USA. You work with a lot of leaders and organizations. So you would have observed them. They would have shared their insights with you. Kindly tell us, what is the one most important or powerful EI skill that everyone must practice, even if not being trained on the particular skill in our everyday life?
I would say that empathy, compassion is very important. You have to learn that. And how you deal with other people, it has to do with communication, has to do with relationships. And it impacts your personality, how you come across to other people, to your group. So I would say that empathy and compassion is the key element. You have to have that. You have to help other people.
I couldn't agree with you there more from my own personal experience. That's really wonderful. Vasant, coming on to today's environment, and as I see the future evolving ahead, everything is hinging, and I would not say hinging, everything is being dominated by the AI scenario today. That's right.
Right.
So, and I'm also aware that you have engineered an AI-powered EI profiling tool. I think a brief reference that you gave to us a little earlier.
Right.
That sounds, something whose time has not yet come. especially for people like us here in India, where AI is still considered a mental issue, a mental stigma, a mental
Right,
taboo. That's right.
right.
So how does that work? Kindly tell us a little more about it, and also clear this contradiction between emotion and technology.
Well, I think that AI is coming and is going to become more uh, uh, perceptive, and it's coming. But I still feel that that human touch that AI provides will still take many years to be implemented into the AI framework as we now know today. So uh, I think that AI assisted AI assessment is step one today. Good, bad, indifferent. And it'll take you from a point from a ground zero to a very good understanding. You have to understand yourself first.
Right.
Who are you? What are you? Why are you here? Why are you doing the things? Why do you feel the way? So it's like anything else. AI will guide us, help us to the next level. There are other levels above that,
Right.
all the way to self-realization.
Right.
See, self-assessment is the bottom of the ladder.
Yes.
Ultimately, you have to have self-realization. That is the ultimate goal a human being should have. So all the it's good. I'm watching a lot of AI-based assessment programs, but they're very expensive.
Okay.
See, what we have is a very reasonable, because all these programs are created mainly in the US,
Right.
and they're like $500. Nobody's going to pay 40,000 rupees
That's
for
right.
an assessment. So what we have come up with, I've teamed up with Dr. N.K. Chadha and Dr. Dilip Singh, two of India's leading mental health experts, and they have come up with such a wonderful assessment program that I am working with them on. I'd be happy to share the link and everything.
Absolutely. I'll share it with the audience. I can understand that. Vasant, let's now having understood emotional intelligence and your contribution to the field, particularly for us Indians here. I would like us to do a little bit of crystal ball gazing, looking into the future. Where do you see emotional intelligence shaping the society in the coming decades?
Oh, I wish we were talking 10 years from now, because sooner or later AI is going to be part of our DNA.
Okay.
It has to be. Because without that, self-improvement, success, all the things you want in life, they elude you, because you don't know how to go about your life in a productive, insightful manner. So it's already prevalent in most of Western world,
Right.
particularly in the US.
Right.
But in India, people are reluctant to change because they don't understand what the value proposition is. They don't know what it is. That's why people are asking, "Are you nahi bimari hai?" I mean, so lack of awareness in education, and that is my problem as I go about meeting people
Right.
and doing webinars and all that.
Right.
First question, like you asked, what is emotion? Ye hai kya? Unless that changes, it'll be a long road ahead. It has to change. It has to come with and it has to do with people like you who are taking my message and sharing it with thousands of people.
Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be great. Let's see how we can proceed with that. All right, Vasant, we come to the end of the formal questions now. What we have next is a very exciting and exhilarating round, which I call Tipsy Ten. It's a rapid fire round, right? And you get just 1 odd second to answer that. Are we ready for this?
Okay. I'll try my best.
All right. The first one coming your way. One book on EI everyone should read.
It's by Dr. Daniel Friedman Goldman out of the US, one of the leading authors on AI.
Okay, the next one. EQ or IQ? What matters more?
Oh, EQ.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Most people don't know that your IQ remains constant all your life. It is your EQ that develops.
Right. Okay. The next one. One daily practice you swear by.
Self-improvement.
Absolutely. Personal development. All right. The next one. Most emotionally intelligent leader that you admire.
Yeah, right now, nobody in particular comes. Well, there's so many people.
All right.
There's so many people I look up to.
We'll take that for an answer. The next one. Anger, sadness, or fear. Which is the hardest to manage?
Anger. So anger is one of the most debilitating aspects of our mental makeup, if you will.
We take that as anger. One myth about emotions you hate.
One must learn to identify the emotions and to manage those emotions. Emotions are very powerful. Wars are fought.
Right.
Civilizations change on the basis of the leader's emotions.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one. What calms you down? What do you prefer when you're calming down? Coffee or meditation?
Calming down, I would say meditation is probably my choice.
Okay.
Coffee just makes me perk up. Pardon the pun. No, nothing like meditation.
Any movie, that comes
movie.
to your mind wherein EI has been portrayed very beautifully for somebody to, understand what EI is?
I don't think I've seen any movie, and I've seen very few where AI. I mean,
Okay.
it's all subliminal. You see, whatever is going
Yes.
on
Yes.
on the screen,
Yes.
part of it has to do with
I agree with
emotions,
you. I agree.
how the other person reacts to it, and what they do with. So it's there. It's subliminal, but
I
it's
agree.
there. A movie makes it or breaks it on the basis of emotions.
Right.
Am I right?
I understand. I agree. I agree. All right. The next one. If emotional intelligence was a superpower, what would be its name?
Oh my God. Superpower. I'm going to answer that peripherally. It's listening. That is the superpower we have, which we don't use.
So the last question is: in the coming days, Vasant, what do you reckon? Who's going to overcome who? EI or AI? Who's going to have the upper hand, or would they, go hand in hand together?
I think it depends on what you want from AI or EI. They're going to be intertwined as we go forward in life.
Right.
In the short term, AI is winning. In the long term, AI will.
Vasant, it was a wonderful conversation with you and quite enlightening too. If there was one strong message that you want to leave behind for the audience, what would that be? Very briefly.
I would say that we should reach out and help people. I think that sympathy is not the same as empathy. Compassion, like I said before. People should say, if they made a mistake, they should say, I'm sorry. People, if somebody did something good, you should say, thank you. I'm sorry to say this to you, but I find that lacking.
Here are 3 crisp key takeaways for this episode with Vasant Agarwal. Number 1, emotional intelligence is a life skill, not just a leadership skill. It helps us manage our own emotions and build stronger, more meaningful relationships in every area of our life. And number 2, EI is practical and learnable. Simple practices like self-awareness, empathy, and mindful communication can transform how we deal with stress, conflict, and everyday challenges. And lastly, number 3, the future belongs to emotionally intelligent people. As technology grows, it's our human ability to understand and connect emotionally that will set us apart. What a powerful conversation that was with Vasant Agarwal. If there is one thing we can all take away today, it's that emotional intelligence isn't just a leadership skill or a buzzword. It's a life skill. The way we manage our emotions and the way we respond to others shapes our relationships, our work, and ultimately our happiness. Remember, emotions are not weaknesses, they are signals. And if we learn to pause, listen, and respond with awareness, we will not only understand ourselves better, but also connect more deeply with the people around us. Thank you, Vasant, for reminding us that EI is indeed a superpower we all have the potential to build. And thank you to everyone watching this show for being part of this journey. I would love to hear more from you. What's one emotional intelligence practice you would like to try in your life this week? Share it in the comments below. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode of Tipsy Talks. Until next time, stay mindful, stay connected, and remember, stay thoda sa tipsy. And remember, your emotions are your truest guide. Jai Hind.